Father's Day to all the fathers that are out there. Don't forget to go ahead and wish your father a happy Father's Day. You know, it's part of the reason why you're here, right? So if you are a father, definitely ask for streaming for next Saturday. So if you're local in Montreal, June 18th is the last day to buy your seat for the Modern Trader Summit. It's going to be awesome. There's only a handful of seats left, so definitely go ahead and do that if you are local. If not, just click right here on the live streaming button and it takes you right over here to the webinar where you are going to be getting everything the entire day online. And it's also going to be available after it's fully recorded and they process it and upload it on demand. And of course, the topics that we're going to be talking about and everything like that. And you still will be able to ask questions live to the panelists when we do our traders panels. So definitely check it out. Go ahead and sign up. That is going to be available pretty much right up until the event. So definitely check that out. And let's go ahead and get into this week's watch list, right? So we always start out with the SPY. So I've got this box right here. Pretty much we have had, let's put it into a 3-hour chart. If you look, for the 3-hour chart, we have pretty much had consolidation between this upper level 289.80 and the lower level 288.40 area. Actually, we could even pull it down just a hair more, just down, oops, just down even just to right here. So even 288.35. So right now we are really in consolidation right here. Now everything with Mexico, the trade wars, interest rates coming up with FOMC on Wednesday, and Trump now saying, oh, the market's going to tank if I don't get reelected in 2020. Well, that's all being built in, and you can see we've got the volume. Let's go back to the daily chart here. So on the daily chart, right, when we look at the volume, right, it seems to be descending volume, except for the last 2 days where we've had a bit higher volume, right? And we pretty much bounced off of the 4 EMA here. We couldn't break out above this resistance, came back, tested it, and pushed back up again. A little bit higher volume doji. And when we look at it on the weekly, right, the 4 has crossed over the 8, which can be a bullish sign. Back here, when it was May 20th, we had it cross down and we came back down here. We tested this lower support level that we bounced off of in the past, and we bounced back up above the 50-week simple moving average. And now we have the 4 EMA crossing up over the 8, and we had higher volume 2 weeks ago than last week. So not sure that it's necessarily selling at the top right here. I think we're going to wait and see once we break out of this box area. So we had a doji on the week. We had a doji on Friday, right? So let's see what happens. I think the big direction is going to be, you know, if we break out above here, the 289.80 area, we've got to break the 290 level and then on up to test up here 291 level. If we break above 291, you know, let's pull it back onto the monthly so we can look at it that way. So if we break 291, then we've got 290.81 here. Next level is probably 292 area, and then after 292 up to 293.50. So we will just keep it on watch and see when we look back at NASDAQ, the QQQ. So on the monthly chart, holding above the 15 EMA, 8 EMA, 4 EMA. We break it back, pull it back to the weekly chart. We came down, we tested the 50 and had pretty big buying right here, right? With the higher volume that pushed it back up. It went to the 8 EMA, but we don't have the 4 cross above the 8 EMA yet. And it looks like selling pressure right here on NASDAQ. Let's check out the Russell. So the Russell on the weekly, oh, I didn't do the daily on NASDAQ here. Let's go back and do the daily here too. So on the daily, right, it's gone up, it's tested the 50 simple moving average, gapped up above it, closed down below it, and it looks like it keeps testing it. So really that 183.58, 183.60 area is going to be important. If you can see all these little dashed lines, it looks like it could potentially break out above that. I think we really need a breakout above 184.50 for it to be strong bullish. But we are holding this 4 EMA right now, but the volume is dropping. The MACD looks like it's slowly having more selling power. This purple line is the RSI. We're right at 54, so we're not oversold. You know, down here, beginning of June, we were definitely oversold, but it's slowly been coming up. And on the resistance level, it looks like we broke above right back here. But if we can hold that, that's going to be really part of it. And so we'll get into the Russell, which was the weakest of the indexes when we look back on the monthly chart, right? So this is down below all of the averages. On the weekly chart, we have the 4 just starting to curl up a little bit. We tested the 8 EMA, the 15 EMA, the 21 EMA, but it can't break above. And then when we go to the daily, we see we actually had the cross on the 4 EMA back here on June 6th. This was the first index to have the cross to the upside. So it's kind of interesting, but we do have the 200 simple moving average right here, which had crossed below the 50 back here on May 3rd when we really started to have the sell-off. So we've got the 200 simple moving average at 153.35 and then 154.28. So really it looks like we need to break above this 155 level to, in my opinion, to be bullish to the upside, and then potentially a resistance test at 156.50. If we want to look at the Dow Jones as well. So on the daily, we are holding above the 50 simple moving average. So right now we have NASDAQ and the Russell that are below the 50. The Russell is below the 200. So if we are not able to break above the 200 on the Russell, I'm thinking that there's going to probably be more of a downside here. So really watching all of the indexes this week for a big picture of what the market's going to do. You know, Wednesday we have the FOMC interest rate announcements. And if you guys don't already know it, go to forexfactory.com, and it is great for what is going on in the week. So you can look at it, okay, nothing today, there's nothing really going on, but if you go ahead, you can click and it will automatically have today, the date of today. So when you look at it before your trading day, just check and see, hey, are there any announcements that are coming up? Anything that's going to happen? On Monday, we have for the US, TIC long-term purchases at 4 p.m. And we also have the Empire State Manufacturing Index. On Tuesday, for US, we have building permits and housing information. And that's it for the US on Tuesday. Wednesday, big announcements coming out. FOMC at 2 p.m., federal funds rate 2 p.m., then a press conference at 2:30, and so on. So it's really important to understand what's going on if you're looking at longer term swings as well, to check all of that information out. Okay, let's go ahead and get back to the watch list for the week. Okay, so as you guys know, I used to have my Series 7 back in 2000. It is no longer current, so please do your own due diligence. There are risks in trading and no results are guaranteed. So please remember that when you're trading. First potential long we have on the list is Facebook. Testing this 50 simple moving average. When we look at it, it did have that gap up on Friday, and look at this, after hours it continued up. So I would put a support to be broken to the downside of 181.50, pretty much the high in resistance on Friday, and then resistance of 182.95 or 183. When we look back at it again on the year, it looks like if we break this level, which was a prior resistance before, we could go ahead and come on up, potentially test 185, which is right where we were, and then on up to 189, then on up to 195, and up to the 200 area. We've got this gap to fill over here. So we had the high over here of 198.48, and then before it gapped down with all the news, with everything and earnings, it was a low on that day of 214.27. So if we close above this 200 level this week, watch out, we're probably going to rip up those 14 points pretty quickly. All right, so, and let me tell you, Facebook has 2.3 billion in the float, and on Friday it was 34% short float volume. So JFIN is a computer technology service in China. You can see this one does have 53.5 million in the float. It was 17% short float volume on Friday. It did have a nice big run up, came back. I would look for support at 1260, this pre-market high level here, and resistance of 1359. When we look back at the year, so they IPO'd May 10th, and if we can really also break above this level of this candlestick right here, you can see that acted as support and resistance. Support back here on the 15th and then resistance on the 20th. So if we can break above that, then I think the next level up would potentially be 15. Then if we break the 15 level on up to 16, 18. Next potential long is MOXC. We'll go to our 15-minute chart. Had a nice day up on Friday, and I would look for support at 194 and then resistance at 202. When we look at it on the yearly chart, you can see they had a split back here. I really like to look more from the split forward because, let's see, they probably had a reverse split. Yep, 1 for 5. So then the price dropped down, found a bottom down here at 1, and now we're starting to curl up. All the averages are curling, and we broke above the 50 simple moving average. If we can break above 202, then up to 221. After that, probably up to the 250 mark. After that, potentially up to 3 with the 200-day simple moving average. Next on the potential long list, MTLS. And MOXC, I forgot to tell you, was 29.5 million in the float and 38.86% short float volume. MTLS has 52.89 million in the float and 70% short float volume on Friday. So if this one has a gap up pre-market, there's a likelihood that this might just run up going into open on Monday. So I would look for support at 15.47 and resistance at 16. Looking at it on the yearly chart, you can see that that support level has held before back here and resistance right here as well. And it's been sort of an area of consolidation and bouncing in the past. We did break below it, and then now it's coming up to test it again. We are right at the 200-day simple moving average at 15.84. If we can break the 16.05, the 50 simple moving average, I think next test 16.34 and then on up to 17. Next potential long is RCI Hospitality, a restaurant chain, restaurant sector. So I would look for 16.90 for support. You can see right here, and it closed really strong on Friday at the end of close, 17.34. So looking for that potential curl up. So we have the 20 simple moving average right here, and the 15 simple moving average, 15 exponential moving average right here, this green line. This is the 21 EMA, and I've really been watching this 21 EMA. As you see, when this 21 EMA breaks, it creates that new trend, right? So we had consolidation here, then it broke down, then it broke above, and it continued up until it consolidated here for a little bit and then broke it strong, and it's been downward trending. So I would look for resistance if we can break 1734 at 1775. For potential shorts, I would look at Hoft. So they had earnings and dividend, and it came down. It looks like it found a bit of support here right at the new 52-week low, 1915. And I would look for support actually to be broken. I'll raise this up a little bit more, 1966. I like the higher breaking out of this candle right here. So they had obviously a negative result from the market with earnings. The market didn't like it, sold it off. However, are we going to hold this bottom down here, or is it going to be a further sell-off from the 52-week? We are very oversold on the RSI down here, and MACD looks like selling pressure is still continuing. When we look back at the prior earnings, it looked like it started to sell off a little bit from there as well, and here as well. So keep it on watch. It might have a couple more days to the downside. But either way, that's why these are potential longs or potential shorts, because these levels are important to watch, to be broken if the big guys selling at those levels have been taken out, and then it will continue in that direction. Next potential short is Play, Dave & Buster's. They got pummeled on earnings, you can see right here, and dropped down. So I would look for support of 39.58 and resistance of 40.23 here. If it were to break to the upside, it might then have resistance at 40.49 and then on up to 41. You can see where that flipped. It was support here, and then it became resistance right here. So really, I would say above 41 for potential long, but for potential stop as a short, potentially 40.23. And we'll look at it on the yearly chart. Again, a 52-week loser for the year. It could go down and potentially test this bottom of this candle right here, which is 37.98. So potentially $1, $2.37.98, so $1.60 to the downside, potentially. And another potential short, Finisar. So Finisar is coming up, had a big spike up and then sold off. So I'd look for support of 21.78 and resistance of 21.94. When we look back at it on the yearly chart, so it came down, tested the 200-day moving average, came up, spiked up, and now it's closed below the 8 EMA and the 4 EMA. The brown is the actual price level. And we've got the 200 simple moving average at 21.54. So if we do break down below 21.78, the next level to watch for support test would probably be 21.50 area. And then below that down here at 21.25 and then down to 21. If we do break 21, we're going down, it looks like potentially 2068 and then 2039. And then we have this gap that could be filled down to 1898. They did have earnings and it looks like it was negative results based on the market. Okay, and next potential short, ERIE. So ERIE has had this massive run up, right? But it looks like potential double top here. So they set a new high, pulled back, could be potentially testing that new high, but it was not able to go up as high, and then it pulled back a little bit. So looking for 248.35 for resistance to be broken to the upside, and then 245.63 for first support level to be tested, and then 242.15 for secondary support level to be tested. It has had this massive run up. Look, we had massive volume back here, which I will be talking about at the Modern Trader Summit. When you start to see massive volume, look, it happened coincidentally right near that 21 EMA, and then it's been going up ever since. However, it seems like this 250 area might be, look, we were right at 200, so we had a massive buying coming in. It's run up 50 points. Are they going to start to sell? We saw higher selling when it set the new 52-week high, lower volume, lower volume. It looks like the MACD is starting to curl down. On RSI, the purple, we are at 83, overbought. So it looks like signaling the CCI right here, which is the Commodity Channel Index, is not above 100. Typically when it's above 100, you will start to see more selling happen. However, I would say 2 out of the 3 indicators right here are saying that we might have potential sell-off to the downside, as well as watching this declining volume area right here. Next on the potential short, Nordisk, excuse me, pharmaceutical healthcare area. So we have the 50 about to cross down over the 200 on the 15-minute chart. We are running below the averages, and we are about to have a gap fill potentially to the downside right here. So I would look for 50.90 to be broken to the downside and 51.24. It has gone up. It's had a double top as well, and then it pulled back. We are below the 4 EMA, but not below the 8 EMA. I think if it does break 50.67 as well, we will see more movement down potentially to the 50 level, and then on down here to see if maybe we can hit the 50 SMA of 48.91. Potential long swings, I have, because they are curling off of the bottom, they look like they found support, they're starting to curl up. So American Eagle Outfitters, and if we look back at it on a 5-year chart, we can see that this is an area that was prior support and resistance in the past, and it came down, came below, and it has surged up. We have that buying power over the week, so potentially a swing. I'd say as long as it can hold really the 1750 area, that in my opinion would be a good area to keep it for risk management. Also CDR, this is the weekly chart here. So you can see, yeah, we found support again down here at 274. So that might be a potential area to hold. We did have 1 week up right here. It might need to go ahead and close above, really, close up above 3 to be confident that it's in the upward movement to break above that 8 EMA right there on the weekly chart. And on the daily chart, it had the 4 cross over the 8 right here. Yet look, it tested that 21 EMA right there at 290 and it pulled back. So we'll see, like I said, if that 3 level, 290 first to be broken. Let's go ahead and put an alert there, crossing up. And then the $3 mark as well to be crossing up. All right, So that's it for the week, guys. Remember, Modern Trader Summit, streaming, amazing, amazing deal. To get 8 hours of speakers sharing what they're passionate about to help you in your trading. We're going to be covering volume, candlesticks, trading mindset, risk management, trading commodities, cryptos, AI trading, multiple time frame analysis. It is definitely well worth it. And if you're not able to sit there and watch all of it online, it will be on demand for the parts that you miss later, or if you're not able to watch it in person that day. Have a great week ahead, guys. Carpe Profit, and I would love to see you asking questions at the Modern Trader Summit. Bye.